My pain come on at night? Why is there in the morning? Why is it only when I get out of the chair? Pain coming at different times that doesn't make sense to someone. Here's a video about those moments. When you haven't done anything that explains the pain, it really puzzles people as to why they get the pain in those moments. Nighttime pain is classic. Somebody asked me, why do I get the pain in the middle of the night or when I wake up in the morning? Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. If it's there in the middle of the night, sometimes I think I've slept funny, or I've just sat down in the chair and I get out of the chair and then it hurts. But other times it doesn't hurt, or when I get going I'm okay. Can you see these patterns that you might have heard people describe? People look for the meaning of the pain in the moment they have the experience. So if I put your hand on something hot and it hurts, it's cause and effect. There's generally something hot there, a radiator, stove top, so it's cause and effect. Immediately we have the meaning. Put your hand on a pin, or it's immediate. There is a refractory period, there is a gap between the sensation and you understanding what that sensation is. It's a small gap, but it's fast normally with physical stimulus. There's even a gap when you know the emotion that you are going to experience. So there's a maths exam this morning, there's a gap between the event and how you're going to feel about it. It's like a moment of processing. If it's a real shock, like just being told the relationship's ended, or you sense it's going to end, it's going to be a big surge, and you recognise there's a pattern of behaviour that this means there's going to be a separation of some sort, or grief. This is the event, you're hearing about it, this is how I feel about it, and there's a slight gap. But normally we can associate the feeling we have with the emotional event, or the feeling we have with the physical event. When pain comes in the middle of the night, there's no conscious awareness of what came before. You're asleep, you're in the chair doing something else, or you're just waking up. So there's no conscious awareness that makes sense to have such severe pain in those moments. The pain here is it's a refractory period that's longer than is usual, but it's because the build-up or the state you've been in of intensity is higher than usual for longer, so it became familiar. You don't know you're in that state. Now in the middle of the night, people say, oh well, I'm changing my behaviours but I still get pain at night. Well, that's always a barometer of where you're at in the process. It means that if you were consistent with the things through the day, the nighttime pattern will follow. However, it's always a payback system. If it's 4 in the morning that the pain comes on, or 2 in the morning, or first thing in the morning, it's just telling you how hard you have been hitting yourself the day before. Even if you're starting to change those behaviours, there's a familiar pattern still that the body hasn't overcome yet, and it's predicting that pattern's likely to play out the next day, so it's getting ready for it. So imagine there's an internal intelligence, so these little mini yous inside, the feminine and masculine elements of yourself. Right lads, she's just been at it all day, she had a maths exam, she's split up with a partner and she's been to her granny's funeral. There's been lots going on today. Right, we'll wake her up about 4 in the morning once we've sorted all this stuff out. It has to process all of that stuff. Now when you finish with your partner, you might be standing toe to toe and say, I'm glad you've gone. You might hold back the tears or let them flow at the funeral, or you might kind of just get stuck in for the maths exam or the event you have to get through. But there's a degree of processing that can't always happen in the moment. You might not want to show it, you might want to suppress it, you might let out a lot of things and repeat them, and at night time the body's got to go through that process. It's the sort of the digestive system, because you can't eat in that state. It has to start up the thinking system because it's been thinking too much. It might organise those thoughts and you might dream. It's attempting to get all those chemicals back into the normal blood flow of recovery after feeling tense. Now if that's been weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, or it's been a lifetime for some people, and it's hit the threshold of overload, then these pains come like that. It's not a punishment for the body trying to hurt you. It's not damage, new damage. It's a feedback loop. But because you might have been numb to the earlier feelings, it gives you pain as you turn over in bed, or as you wake up and get out of bed, or as you get out of the chair. The pain is saying, right, don't go as fast as you were yesterday. We tried to warn you with some earlier warnings, but you didn't listen. You pushed through the pain. So there's a belief system in the person, remember, that's to push through pain. I must keep going. I've got to push through. That's the only person I see myself ever as being. Or after so long, it's I can't do any more. They drop into the kind of fawn response, defeat response. It's a recognised stress response. It's totally okay, but there's mechanisms out of it. But don't look at the mattress and think it's the mattress that needs changing. Don't look at the pillow. Don't look outside and say it's the cold weather, it's my arthritis. Don't look at the bright lights and say, oh, it's my migraine. Once you associate a label to an internal state and then a physiological output, you're kind of trapping yourself in the medical model. I'm not saying those things don't come together. Pain in the middle of the night, stiff knees as you get out of bed on a cold morning. I'm just saying they're correlations. So this refractory period of the time it takes for the body to process starts to get better with practicing the day stuff. Now, if you want to double down at night on the calm stuff, I know I'm going to wake up at 4 in the morning, I'll be laid like this and I think I slept funny. No, you haven't. It's just the association you're making in that moment. So if you say to yourself, right, I might wake up at 4 in the morning funny and it hurts my neck, but that isn't damage. It's just my body feeding back that it's probably the tension I'm still not quite overcome yet. But if that happens, I'm okay with it. So you're not adding fear and frustration to the system at 4 in the morning when you wake up. It's a deliberate, conscious approach to pain without adding fear, without adding frustration. If you wake up in the morning, deliberately slow the system down before you get out of bed. As I get out of bed, if there's pain there, that's okay. If I get out of the chair, that's okay. I'm showing my body that we're all right. Lads, she's taking some deep breaths as she gets out of bed. I think we're going to be okay. Do we need the pain on? No, lads, lower it down. I think she's going to slow it down. It looks like she's a bit calmer in her intent than yesterday. It is that powerful. It is that powerful. It is that simple. It does take practice. It's easy if someone else's voice say, take it easy, have a rest, let me put the kettle on for you. Look, you've done enough for them now. There's a maths exam coming. Just take some deep breaths. You're going to go in that challenging relationships. Make sure you set some boundaries. Don't let them do that to you. Come on, let's have a hug. Let's have a hug. It'll help you. You've been through a lot. If you don't have anybody who's doing that for you, think of my voice. Think of your best friend's voice. Think of someone you love who might have cared for you, who isn't available now. But choose your own voice. It really is the most dominant voice we'll ever have, but it has to be authentic. It has to be for you, and that doesn't mean that you don't care about anybody else. You care bucket loads for lots of people, but you have to recognise if you're in pain, persistent pain, for emotional drivers or physical drivers, and you see these refractory periods for what they are, then your voice can be the thing that calms those moments down. You can get a completely symptom-free night's sleep. Get out of bed without pain. Get into bed without it. Get out of the chair without it, and start living a life that you deserve.